The Dakar Rally is the most dangerous race on Earth, and the worst danger isn't crashing at 140 kilometers an hour, it's the desert itself. In January 2026, Australian motorcyclist Daniel Sanders crashed so hard with a broken collarbone and sternum that he lost 24 minutes but still kept racing. Listen, I've spent the last month breaking down every single dangerous moment from the 2026 Dakar Rally, and what I found is absolutely mental. We're talking about a race where 450 vehicles start, but not everyone makes it to the finish. Where the desert doesn't care if you're a factory-backed rider or a rookie. Where you can be driving perfectly, doing everything right, and still end up stranded, lost, or worse. This video is part one of a two-part breakdown. The dangers of Dakar that have nothing to do with crashing. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 10 most dangerous moments in the Dakar Rally that have nothing to do with crashing. No mechanical failures, no roll cages, just you versus the desert. And I'm going to explain it like you're 10 years old. No complicated jargon, no boring technical stuff, just the raw, unfiltered truth about why this race is absolutely bonkers. And by the end, you'll understand exactly why Dakar isn't just a race, it's survival. But first, let me show you what we're actually dealing with here. Number 1, getting lost in the desert. Right, so imagine you're racing through the desert at 140 kilometers per hour. You've been driving for 6 hours straight. You're exhausted, and then you look down at your road book and realize you have absolutely no idea where you are. This is the most Dakar danger of all, getting lost. Here's how it works. Every morning, they hand you a road book. It's basically a book of directions with symbols, distances, and compass headings. No sat-nav lady telling you to turn left in 500 meters. Just you, your co-driver, and a book of squiggly lines. And if you miss one turn, if you misread one symbol, you're gone, off course, lost in the middle of the biggest, emptiest desert on the planet. In 2026, Stage 9 was absolute chaos. Leading riders like Luciano Benavides missed a waypoint at just 33 kilometers into the stage. Ricky Brabec, Tosha Sharena, and Daniel Sanders were all circling around in what one journalist called high-speed geocaching, basically riding in circles trying to find an invisible waypoint in the middle of massive dunes and canyons. Benavides dropped from 1st to 3rd overall, just because of one navigation error. And it wasn't just Stage 9. On Stage 5, Toby Price made a navigation error over halfway through the stage, then got a puncture, and finished 25th, 20 minutes off the pace. Now imagine you're a bike rider. You're on your own. No team car behind you, no radio, just you and the desert. You take a wrong turn and suddenly you're 20 kilometers off course with no idea how to get back. The sun is setting, your water is running low, and you've got no mobile signal. This is why navigation failure is the #1 danger in Dakar, because once you're lost, the desert doesn't care how fast you are, it just swallows you whole. Number 2, flying blind. Now let's say you've nailed the navigation. You're on course, you're flying. You crest a massive sand dune at full speed, and for a split second, you're airborne. You can't see what's on the other side. And that's when it happens. Hidden dune drops. This is one of the most terrifying things in Dakar. Picture this. You're racing over a sand dune. From your perspective, it looks smooth, just another dune. So you hit it at 140 kilometers per hour, you go airborne, and then boom. The other side isn't smooth. It's a cliff, a 10-meter drop, and you're flying straight into it. This is called flying blind, and it happens all the time in Dakar. You can't see what's on the other side of a dune until you're already committed, and by then, it's too late. The 2026 route featured massive dune sections throughout the marathon stages in Wadi ad-Dawasir and the surrounding regions. Riders and drivers were launching over dunes with zero visibility of what was on the other side. Some landed it, some didn't. And here's the mental part. Even if you land it perfectly, the impact is so violent that it can destroy your suspension, blow your tires, or crack your chassis. One bad landing and your race is over. So when you see Dakar footage of cars flying through the air, looking all epic and cinematic, yeah, that's not skill, that's pure luck, because they have no idea what's on the other side. 3 soft sand traps. Alright, so you've survived the dune drops. You're still on course, but now you hit a patch of sand that looks exactly like every other patch of sand you've been driving on for the last 300 kilometers. Except this one is different. This one is soft. Soft sand traps are brutal because once you stop, you're done. Here's how it works. You're driving through the desert and suddenly your wheels start sinking. The sand is too soft. Your tires can't grip. You slow down, and the moment you stop, you're stuck. Now, if you're in a car, you might be able to dig yourself out. Maybe, if you've got sand ladders, a shovel, and a lot of patience. But if you're on a bike, forget it. You're lifting a 160 kilogram motorcycle out of soft sand by yourself in 40-degree heat with no help. And here's the kicker: the desert doesn't care. It doesn't matter if you're 5 kilometers from the finish line or 500 kilometers. If you get stuck in soft sand, you're on your own. The 2026 marathon stages, particularly stages 9 and 10 through the dune regions, featured massive sections of soft sand. Riders had to maintain momentum at all costs. No outside help allowed during the marathon. They had to dig themselves out, push their bikes, and keep going. Some made it, some didn't. 4 rock fields at full speed. So you've avoided the soft sand, you're back up to speed. But now the terrain changes, the sand disappears, and suddenly you're racing through a rock field, and you're still doing 140 kilometers per hour. Rock fields are one of the most dangerous sections in Dakar, because you can't see the rocks until it's too late. Imagine you're flying over a section of hard-packed sand. It looks smooth, but buried just under the surface are massive rocks. You don't see them, you hit one at full speed, and instantly your suspension explodes. Your tire shreds. Or worse, you flip. In 2026, Tim and Tom Coronel were racing at 140 to 150 kilometers per hour on stage 2 when they hit an invisible concrete pillar. Massive front suspension damage. They lost over 6 hours repairing the car with help from a French truck team. They were lucky, no injuries, but their race was basically over. And it's not just cars. Bike riders have it even worse. You hit a rock on a bike at 140 kilometers per hour and you're not just crashing. You're flying through the air like a rag doll. No roll cage, no protection. Just you, the ground, and a very bad day. Stage 1 of the 2026 rally featured rocks and small dunes right from the start. Stage 12 had tricky navigation through rocky tracks, wadis, and rutted terrain. You're racing blind through a minefield. So when people say Dakar is dangerous, this is what they mean. You're racing at full speed through a minefield of invisible rocks, and one mistake is all it takes. 5 sandstorms and 0 visibility. But here's where Dakar gets properly mental, because all the dangers I've just told you about, they get 10 times worse when you add a sandstorm. Sandstorms in the Saudi Arabian desert are no joke. We're talking about walls of sand moving at 60 kilometers per hour, reducing visibility to 0, and you're still racing. Picture this, you're halfway through a stage, you're making good time, and then out of nowhere, the sky turns orange, the wind picks up, and suddenly you can't see 10 meters in front of you, but you can't stop, because if you stop, you lose time. And in Dakar, time is everything. So you keep going. You're driving blind. You're hoping the guy in front of you knows where he's going. You're praying you don't hit a rock or a dune or another vehicle. And here's the worst part. Sandstorms don't just block your vision. They get inside everything. Your engine, your air filters, your eyes, your lungs, you're breathing sand, you're tasting sand, and you've still got 200 kilometers to go. While the 2026 route didn't feature major reported sandstorms during the actual stages, the threat is always there. The Saudi desert is unpredictable. One moment it's clear, the next you're racing inside a moving wall of sand. 6 wildlife and locals crossing the stage. Now you might be thinking, surely they close the roads, right? Like, they make sure no one else is out there. Nope, not even close. Here's the thing about Dakar. It doesn't happen on a closed racetrack. It happens on real roads, through real villages, with real people and real animals. So, you're racing at 160 kilometers per hour through the desert, and suddenly there's a camel in the middle of the road, or a goat, or a local farmer on a motorbike who has no idea there's a race happening. This is one of the most unpredictable dangers in Dakar, because you can't plan for it. You can't avoid it, you just have to react. The 2026 route ran through populated areas near Yanbu, Alula, Hale, and Riyadh. These aren't empty wastelands. People live here, animals graze here, and when you're doing 160 kilometers per hour through their backyard, things can go very wrong very quickly. The organizers do their best to warn local communities and keep the stages safe, but when you're racing through thousands of kilometers of desert, you can't control everything. 7 racing in extreme heat. Alright, so you've survived the sandstorms, the wildlife, and the rock fields. But now let's talk about something that's constantly trying to kill you from the moment you start the race. The heat. The Saudi Arabian desert in January can hit 40 degrees Celsius during the day. And inside a race car, it's even hotter. We're talking 45 to 52 degrees Celsius. Imagine sitting in a metal box with no air conditioning, wearing a full racing suit, helmet, and gloves, while the sun is beating down on you for 10 hours straight. The steering wheel is so hot you can barely touch it. The seat is burning your back. And you're still racing at full speed, your car becomes an oven, and you're cooking inside it. For bike riders, it's even worse. At least car drivers have a roof. Bike riders are fully exposed to the sun. No shade, no protection, just them, their bike, and the relentless heat. And here's the kicker. The heat doesn't just affect you, it affects your car. Engines overheat, tires lose pressure, electronics start failing. Everything is working against you. Drivers and riders use a huge amount of their energy just trying to cool down. Number 8. Dehydration and heat exhaustion. But the heat doesn't just make you uncomfortable, it can actually kill you. And this is the danger you don't see on camera. Dehydration and heat exhaustion are silent killers in Dakar, because by the time you realize you're in trouble, it's too late. Here's how it happens. You're racing for 10 hours straight. You're sweating constantly. You're losing liters of water every hour. And even if you're drinking, you're not drinking enough, because you're focused on the race, you're focused on not crashing, you're not thinking about hydration. And then suddenly, you start feeling dizzy. Your vision blurs, your hands start shaking, you can't think straight, and you're still doing 140 kilometers per hour through the desert. This is heat exhaustion, and if you don't stop and cool down, it turns into heat stroke. And heat stroke can kill you. In past Dakar rallies, riders have died from hypothermia and dehydration. In 2015, Polish motorcyclist Michał Hernik died after losing his GPS signal in brutal desert conditions. His body overheated, he became too dehydrated to repair his bike. He texted his family goodbye and lay down, expecting to die. Competitors can lose up to 65 liters of fluid over the entire rally. That's not a typo, 65 liters. This is why Dakar isn't just about being a good driver, it's about being able to survive when your body is shutting down. Number 9. Night driving and finishing in the dark. Now, let's say you've made it through the heat, the dehydration, and the sandstorms, but you've lost time. Maybe you got stuck in soft sand, maybe you took a wrong turn, and now the sun is setting, and you've still got 100 kilometers to go. Night driving in Dakar is terrifying, because you're doing the same speed, but with half the vision. Your headlights can only see so far, maybe 50 meters, maybe less if there's dust in the air. And you're still racing at 120 kilometers per hour through the desert. You can't see the rocks, you can't see the dune drops, you can't see anything. And here's the worst part. If you're on a bike, your headlight is even weaker. You're basically racing blind, trusting your instincts, hoping you don't hit something. While the 2026 route didn't feature official night stages, the marathon stages started at pre-dawn on stage 8. And if you're running behind schedule, you're finishing in the dark. Same dangers. Half the visibility. This is why finishing a Dakar stage isn't just about being fast, it's about being brave enough to keep going when you can't see where you're going. 10 fatigue after 10 to 12-hour days. But here's the thing that breaks most people in Dakar. It's not the heat. It's not the sandstorms. It's not even the crashes. It's the fatigue. Dakar 2026 ran for 14 days, a prologue plus 13 stages. And each stage can take 10 to 12 hours to complete. That's 10 to 12 hours of non-stop concentration. Non-stop physical effort, non-stop mental strain. And you do this every single day, for 2 weeks. By the time you're halfway through Dakar, you're exhausted, your body's breaking down, your mind is foggy, you're making mistakes you wouldn't normally make. And that's when the desert wins. This is why Daniel Sanders' crash on stage 10 was so brutal. He'd been racing for 10 days straight. He was avoiding another competitor at 138 kilometers into the stage. He crashed hard, broke his collarbone and sternum, lost 24 minutes, dropped from the lead. But here's the mental part. He kept racing, with a broken collarbone and sternum, for 3 more stages. That's the level of fatigue and pain these riders are dealing with. Competitors get about 4 hours of sleep per night. Their spines and joints are pounded for hours. Their bodies are breaking down, and they still have to race the next day. The desert wins slowly. It grinds you down, day by day, hour by hour, until you've got nothing left. This is why simply finishing the Dakar Rally is such a massive achievement, because you're not just racing other drivers, you're racing your own body, and most of the time, the body loses. Everything you've just seen is Dakar working exactly as intended, a race that slowly breaks you down without needing a single crash. Part 2 is what happens when that balance snaps. If you want to see the crashes, the mistakes, and the moments where the Dakar completely loses control, check out my breakdown of the biggest Dakar crashes of all time. Trust me, some of them are hard to believe. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you're subscribed. I'll see you in the next one.